Wow, how nice to hear that again.
Mm.
Sassy.
Yeah,
I mean,
just
did that
great.
hold your interest?
Absolutely. What I loved about Martha and the Vandellas is that they were, unlike any of the other girl groups, whether it was the Dixie Cups or whatever, or the Supremes, they had an edge to them.
Yes.
There was that sassy, in your face, not just with the attitude and such, but you could hear that attitude in the voices, not just in their performance. They're more raw. And I mean, the Supremes were elegant, and even when they were letting go, so to speak, there was always a barrier as to how far they would go. With Martha and the Vandellas, it was sass right that hit you in the first notes, and Martha Reeves, she just put it all out there, and the other gals that in the group did not disappoint. They went right along with it, and you could see that that was the core of who they were as artists. It's like a little bit in your face, sassy, but still with a femininity and a vulnerability. And to me, that was a wonderful package. I always liked them better than the Supremes for that reason.
And I concur. That's why I put it in this order. Because, in fact, I saw the Supremes live. I used to go to, I used to be the pianist accompanist for the Hollywood production of the Fantastics at Hollywood Center Theater. And I got paid in cash every night. And every night I would take that $5 because it wasn't very much money. Of course, that might be 20 or 30 today. And I used to take that and I'd go and I'd see an act that was performing. I went to the Whiskey and I saw Martha and the Vandellas. And once again, I was blown away. They were a lot classier than the usual blues acts that I would go to see, a little more polished, but they had that, and sassy is the word. There was a that emotional uh, expression of brassiness that I really, really, and I think another word I would use is passion. And if that isn't a passionate song, I don't know what is.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that kept me from really, really appreciating the Supremes was I always felt there was a distance between them and me as an audience member.
Uh
Whenever I watched anything with Martha and the Vandellas, it was like, come on in, girl, we're having a party.
huh.
And that's how I always felt. It was like, I just kind of went, oh, yeah, okay. I'm listening, I'm watching, and you go, girl, kind of thing. It was just, there was never a distance. It was always this outpouring, um, welcoming you and wanting to make the audience a part of everything instead of having a distance saying, this is what I'm giving to you. And that's kind of always what I felt about the Supremes. It was like sometimes I felt like they were doing, they felt that they were doing us a favor by just being there. And with Martha and Vandellas, I always felt like, hey, you're a part of the party. You are in this. You're just as important as we are.
Interesting.
Mhm. One of the things I really like in this song is the musical depiction of a wave where it builds, 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 and then
Yeah.
crashes.
Uh
I think that's just really an excellent case where the music brings that whole same feeling of a wave, and it's there in the title, so it ties together really well, and it
huh.
builds and crashes, builds and crashes.
You're talking about a term that is only used in songwriting and film. And a lot of people have never heard of it. I'm sure Gail, and of course Nancy, I'm sure both well aware of the term prosody.
Yes.
Prosody when all the
Yep.
elements of something say the same thing. So if you're talking about passion, you have passionate music. If you're talking about sadness, there's a sadness there. And if you play counter to, uh, it doesn't have the believability. It doesn't have it, uh, it, the words, the music, the production, everything reinforces each other. And here, the groove and everything, it's all a heat wave for sure.
Yeah,
And
like we're all going in the, it's like when gals go out on the town together, they always want to look, or they're going to a party, they always want to look like they're going to go to the same party. They don't want to dress alike, but they want to be, it to be within the framework of what that party entails. And that's what this music does. It's like, it's all of the elements of it mesh together because they're all going into the same direction. Nothing is separate. And it creates a very cohesive picture, emotion, and delight.
And Martha and the Vandellas, of course, had plenty of other hits. They had another one that was equal, and this one had a lot of covers. It was "Dancing in the Street,"
Ooh, yeah,
another party song.
yeah.
And but I thought that Heat Wave had a little more special quality. It showed them off. The song is such. In fact, I perform "Dancing in the Street" because it's such a great song. Everybody always likes that. That gets people up dancing every single time.
Always.
Yeah.
I had a 3-girl group, and we had a medley of 50s and 60s that was sandwiched in between Bob Seger's old time rock and roll. And we started and ended with that, and then everything else was in there. And that was always where you would see everybody's ears and eyes and bodies perk up.
What was that? The I'm trying to think of the lyrics that they were in that song. Where they would say, she would say something, and then they would say the heat wave. So it's like a call and response kind of thing going on there. And so you were attracted to that because you would sing with it. I mean, they had a way of just roping you in, and I think, like Gail said, you just become a part of it. You're not. There's no distance going on there. You're in it, and that was a perfectly put the way. However you put that, Gail, that was great.
Well, there's always two things I say in my basic songwriting class. You got two requirements. One, you got to grab the audience, and two, you got to keep the audience. This song never lets you go. There's always something moving it forward, and it's, of course, the beat is pushing you throughout, but that's not going to be enough. And then you have the different sections, and then you have the wave crash, and then you have those that the instrumental riff. It just keeps going and going and going, and it's like you don't want it to stop. So you put another quarter in the jukebox. Isn't that what they used at those times? Not nickels. I don't know how it, but it is. You had to hear it again. You didn't want it to stop.
I think there's a song that references putting a dime in the jukebox.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I wasn't a jukebox user at the time, but I appreciated when other people.
I think it also raises an interesting and perhaps universal question. Is lust the same as love?
Sure. That's because
is this the way love's supposed to be? I mean, the lust element is quite obvious in this song, but is that love?
Well, that's an interesting.
I think that is a little brain tickler that they sneak in there.
Yeah, that's actually a really excellent observation because it doesn't actually within the framework of the song differentiate. So it kind of leaves you to decide
Yeah.
And that's part of that crossover between black culture and white culture. White culture, uh, we're supposed to always be in love, and even now you have uh, that Hallmark channel and all their romantic movies, and it's all about falling in love, uh, and that's more of a white sentimental type of uh and then there's an awful lot of just plain old sexuality in black music. There always has been, and this is sort of a crossover between the two, I would think. Do you want to hear a little bit of Dancing in the Street?
Of course, we love that.
Okay, I won't do the whole song because I want to get to Fontella Bass and Gladys, but I have it here, so let me